a collection of inspiring personal stories and leadership lessons from some of the world's most iconic leaders. It is the weekly podcast for women in leadership, brought to you by Nations of Women. My name is Dr. Tina Alton, and I'm your host for today and the coming weeks. Welcome again to another episode of the Now Woman Talks, the podcast for every woman in leadership. So today we're delving into a very interesting and powerful concept that is, you're blessed when you're content with just who you are, no more, no less. So we're going to be on a journey exploring how, embracing and celebrating your true self, your core identity, and all the unique qualities that make you can really be your greatest asset as a woman in leadership, or as a woman, period, as a person, period. So this episode specifically is really looking at understanding how can we be content with who God created us to be? How can I be content with who He says I am? What does it really matter? What does it really mean, right, to be comfortable in my identity? And not just necessarily comparing or looking at your accomplishments or the roles that you play, but it's really about grounding yourself in who you are, who God says you are, and letting this awareness of who He's created you to be to really be that which guides you forward, or your path forward, because then you're able to really walk in your God-given design, God-given identity. So there's some key points that I want us to explore, and the first one, not necessarily being in any specific order, is self-contentment. How can I be happy myself? And this is really about accepting and valuing yourself at your core, embracing both your strengths and vulnerabilities, because we're human. And so we're going to have, it's like two sides of the same coin. We're going to have areas that we're really, really strong in, and the areas that we're not necessarily so strong in, but we have the opportunity to grow into. And then we're also going to discuss in a more deep way, how when we really accept who God says we are, that can really liberate you from the pressure to conform, allows your true personality and the true value of who you are to shine. Um, so when you accept who God says you are, right, it reduces the urge to actually fit into any preconceived societal molds. It liberates you from the pressure to conform. And this freedom really allows your true personality and the intrinsic values of who you are to shine through. It will ultimately, I believe this with all my heart, it would ultimately impact how you lead and how you interact with people on a day-to-day basis. So, for example, when you stop trying to meet every external expectations, and these expectations can be from, maybe our family, our colleagues, our friends, our relationships, or even sometimes we place them on ourselves. So when we stop striving to meet these external expectations, you really can focus more on what makes you unique and effective, what makes you stand out, right? And this can be, for example, helping you to improve your problem solving skills, because now the true you comes forth. You're able to really step in, step forth with a healthy, godly confidence in being able to, show up as the fullness of who you have been created to be. Second one is, you've got to be authentic in your leadership, because this podcast is all made for women in leadership. So a lot of the time we're going to relate this to, how does this relate to your leadership? Being true, being authentic in your leadership means that your actions and your decisions are congruent with, it becomes congruent with your true self, and it is not shaped by other people's expectations. So if we reflect on how as leaders or leaders who embrace the authentic selves foster environments of openness and trust, right? If we reflect on that, you can look at, for example, Satya Nadella, who shifted, the culture within Microsoft to one that learns from mistakes. This was a move that boosted morale, innovation, and really exemplified how embracing your authentic self or authenticity can even transform an organization as big as that. So, a good point for reflection is, or a challenge for you, or a thought for you, or an action point is reflect on your own leadership. How can you be more open or vulnerable, maybe, in order to encourage a culture of trust, a culture of openness within your team, or maybe within your family, even? I don't know, you choose. But that's a really good exercise to sit and reflect on you as a woman in leadership or as a leader. How can you actually develop, that culture or encouraging a culture that is trustworthy, that is one of openness, right? Another point to look at is when we step into our true identity and embrace, who we're created to be, our decisions are empowered, are really, really empowered. Um, you know, if you look at like comfort with your identity, being comfortable with your identity, being comfortable with who God says you are, allows you to make choices that truly resonate with your values and long-term vision. So you don't cut corners, you don't make decisions based on trying to meet expectations, trying to please people, trying to devalue who you are, or you filling the blank, right? When you become comfortable with who you are, no more, no less, just who God says you are, then you're allowing yourself that free space to make choices and decisions that truly, truly, truly resonates with your personal values or the values that you know are good and healthy, right? And of course, for your long-term vision. So let's explore scenarios where leaders face tough choices and how staying true to their identity help them to navigate these difficult decisions confidently. So let's imagine a leader deciding whether to expand into new market, which contradicts their core mission of maybe sustainability. Just choose new topic. So now, by choosing a path that aligns with their values like sustainable growth, they not only stay true to themselves, but also strengthen their brand identity. So if, this value of being sustainable in how they grow, how they work with new suppliers or new team members, whatever, 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 then that leader is able to move forward in a way that resonates or stays in alignment and is congruent with the value that they have as a company or as a brand. Now, when you embrace who you are, who you've been created to be, this really helps you to build resilience. And you're less likely to be affected by external criticisms or setback. Now then, not all criticisms are bad. Some criticisms are good. When you have good criticism, it can help you to grow super, super fast. And it can help you to course correct. It can help you to, navigate difficult terrains or, navigate challenging times. When you have somebody, whether a friend, a colleague, or somebody who's gone ahead of you that is willing to take that risk with you and give you really valuable criticism, then that is your best, biggest asset. So I'm not against having feedback, but criticisms that crush you or belittles you, that's just terrible. So don't do that. But when you walk in in the fullness of your identity, you build resilience, you're less likely to be affected by, external challenges or, the nastiness that sometimes people just, give out. Um, a good way to look at that is examples of maybe your own personal setbacks. Did you learn from it? Because if you don't learn from any setback, if you don't learn from any challenge that you've gone through, then that is a wasted opportunity. Okay. So look back, think back to a setback that you had. What did you learn from it? How can you bring that learning into your present life to help you to transform your leadership? Now, a good example, British author J.K. Rowling, she faced numerous rejections, but she continued to pursue different publishers for her, Harry Potter series, and ultimately one said yes, and that was the beginning of a very successful career as an author, and that even went on to be, made into a movie. So you have to be able to keep standing. You have to be able to keep pushing through, irrespective of the setbacks. And I think Oprah has shared her story many times, similarly, where she used her earlier career setbacks as fuel to propel her to create, a media company that was in alignment with her own values and terms, right? So sit back, think back, what challenges have I faced? What can I learn from that? How can this motivate me? How can this actually, boost me in being able to stand up, keep pushing? I don't know. Let us know. When you are walking in your God-given identity and, the fullness of who you're created to be, you're really able to cultivate like real, genuine connections or relationships. Let's put it that way. When you're true to yourself, you naturally attract and build relationships with others who respect and value your authenticity. Again, we're going to look at how genuine relationships can actually be a source of both personal joy and professional support. Authentic relationships can lead to both your personal joy as well as professional support. What do you mean, Tina? So, for instance, as a leader, you might partner with another business, or as a business owner, you might partner or collaborate with another business where both share similar values. This leads to not only what would be a successful partnership or collaboration or venture, but also a fulfilling connection. Why? Because each of you are coming from a place where you're comfortable in who you're created to be. So there's no masks, right? No one is wearing a mask, and you're able to foster genuine relationships within, the business or within your leadership, within your network, within your team, and one that helps you focus on shared values and mutual support. So, some challenges here, or actionable challenges, as I like to call them. This is really purely to deepen your understanding and to help you in practice embracing your identity. Number one is identity reflection. List 5 qualities or values that you know or you believe define you. Reflect on how these are currently expressed in your life and leadership. So, the qualities of the values that you believe define you, if these are not currently expressed in your life or leadership, then you're not being congruent. You're not walking boldly in your identity, and you need to, you know, do some homework, internal homework. Review your decision making process. So think about a recent decision you made. Was this aligned with your true values? If not, then consider how you might approach it differently next time. But this time from a place of being, being a woman that fully embodies your real God-given identity. Third point, how to build resilience. Identify a time when you felt criticized or rejected. How did it affect the perception of yourself? Now, I want you to write down ways you can reinforce accepting who you are in such moment, right? So maybe you were criticized or rejected. Did this affect your perception of yourself? Are you now walking and living your life based on that perception, or are you actually taking charge of what you're giving your mind to? What are you thinking? How are you perceiving yourself? Are you living your life from that place of perception or from the real perception of who you are created as. Mapping your relationships. That's the one, two, three, fourth point. Evaluate your current relationships to identify which ones truly resonate with the true you, which ones truly resonate, aligns with your personal values, which ones are in alignment with who you are. And make a plan to strengthen these genuine relationships or connections. And likewise, the flip side of that is as you evaluate your relationships, if there are people, whether it's friends, colleagues, business partners, whatever it is that, have different values that are opposing to your values, then you know that you know what to do. You need to you need to audit your friendship and you need to do some editing out. Okay. Some practical application tools for you. These are meant to be implemented to help solidify your authenticity as a woman and as a leader. So each day, be mindful of what you are telling yourself, how you're waking up, what kind of mind frame are you waking up with? Focusing on who you are created as. So if you're created as in the image and likeness of God, then that is who you are, period. There's no buts, there's no ifs. It is who you are, period. So you need to wake up in that frame of mind that you're created in the image and likeness of God. You're beautifully and wonderfully created. So you got to see yourself that way. And if you're seeing yourself any less than that or with a completely different perception, you need to edit that out. Have conversations that are life-giving, healthy, regularly engage, or find people that you can have conversations with where you can express your true thoughts, feelings, without fear of losing the relationship. I don't mean being rude or crude or brash or anything of that sort, but have healthy relationships where you know that there is that freedom within that friendship to be able to really tell the truth, not have to lie, not have to put on mask, not have to pretend, right? And then community involvement. Who are the people around you, right? Where are you at? What groups are you finding yourself in? Are you in groups that are actually life-giving, or are you in groups or people that are sucking life out of you? So just some practical applications for you to consider. So hopefully today we've uncovered the power of being content with who you are, the power of embracing your identity, and the fact that it is not only liberating, but also the cornerstone for genuine leadership, the cornerstone for fulfilling relationships. And remember, the most significant assets you own are those that reflect your true self. So if today's episode spoke to you, then I want to invite you to join the Now Woman community, where you'd find inspiration on a daily basis and being empowered and inspired to live and lead authentically. For more information, by all means, visit our website on how you can find and connect with like-minded women like yourself, or like me, or like us, that we can grow together. So on that note, have a wonderful week until I come your way again next time. God bless you. And that's all for this week. You've been listening to Dr. Tina Alton with the Now Talks, the weekly podcast for women in leadership, brought to you by Nations of Women. All that remains is for me to say have a fantastic week, stay safe, and reach out if you need any help now at nationsofwomen.com. Until next time, enjoy the pursuit of your potential, and remember, now is your time.